Before we go into what I want to talk about, what before we go to the topic that I want to talk about today, I want to like make something clear about what I was doing yesterday because I feel like what happened was like this. I tell you the concept, I tell you the experience itself, but then the moment I try to let you follow the shift, the transformation, everything just collapsed because then I realized it doesn't make sense here, it doesn't make sense here, it doesn't make sense here. This is all like a false reality of what you think you are experiencing right now. So it doesn't make sense and you just let it all go. And that's what I did. And I eventually just, what do you call it when you watch a stand-up comedy and there are people just, it's not hacking. Just something like that. Heckler. No. So I feel like I do this process of understanding if it's the truth, if it's a lie, in a such a quick manner that eventually everything just collapses in one go and I just forget about it. And I just like let go at that moment. And that was what happened. That was happened. That's what happened yesterday. And I want to clarify something around the topic that I talked yesterday because I didn't get into that part since I just intuitively letting it go because it's like a false idea. So, what I want to talk about yesterday is the idea that when you go into some timeline, some future timeline, and you are trying to make something here to experience, there is a need for you to create the path that makes sense. And something cannot be undervalued, and you need something that pull you forward. And the idea of wealth for me is something that is blocking my way because I don't know how to use my own money because I have never been someone who is attached to the value of money. And you can see it when I have such a freedom to choose some offers that someone out there have has, and it was like out of my pocket, but I'm like, I can still get that money. So my illogical sense with money comes with this idea that I don't have any internal connection, I don't have any attachment to the money itself, but I this idea blocking me to go forward into my future because in the future the timeline that I'm going for has this incredible amount of wealth that just accumulated over time because I have found the wealth code. But because I don't know how to spend it, because I don't have need, it seems like I block my own way because I don't have that capacity to spend my own money. And this can be happen, this can be experienced by some other people who essentially they never grow their mentality to a certain point, but they somehow got the money and they spend it, and then some months later they coming back to where they begin with, where they start. And that's the mentality part of it, and I have that but with my future. So unless I know how to make that path more smoother, more like I know how to spend my money kind of feeling instinct, I would never get into a point where I would be blessed to have this much amount of money. So that's what I'm trying to share yesterday, but I never get into that point because I just collapse everything and decided that it's not real. Heckler. Is it the heckler? I kind of forget about what is the name for it. Let me look it up. It is a heckler. Why didn't I think it's heckle? Interesting. It doesn't feel connected to the frequency that I want to talk about, but eventually I say it, but it doesn't feel right. But it is a heckler. So I heckler myself, knowing that this is not true. This is just some bullshit that I tell myself. But yeah, I have pictured myself to go into the route of having money come in, but also having the money come out. So the flow is moving. That's the key to eventually be in the timeline that you want, is that having the flow. So in the money making, it's not about getting the money, it's actually moving the money. And that's the idea of moving the money, is actually creating wealth, because you will never be in the state of no money at all, because you just know how to get it, you know how to spend it, and you will forever be safe. That's the wealth idea, wealth code. It is exactly the same with anything else. Either it's relationship, either it's your system, you know how to like spend your energy and also like getting it back. That kind of wealth is what I'm currently creating. So that's what I want to pass yesterday. Today, I want to talk something different, because I've been having this feeling that I actually is someone who need to talk about my stuff more often, because these days, because I talk about it here, I get to see that, oh, actually, the moment I talk about it, some ideas just collapse together, and I eventually understand how to capture whatever it is that I want to talk about. That eventually, oh, it's happened this way, and then it's moving into the next step, and then it's moving into the next category, and then it's moving into the next topic. It just flow effortlessly, and I want to like get into the flow of that. And to do that, what helped me the most is this live stream to begin with. So I'm like in the bind. If I want to keep doing the live stream for forevermore, maybe we will like taking it further than just 1 year period. There there is like a timeline for me to spare for a day in somewhere, in some in this 24 hours block. It's not hard. I don't know if we get into a point where our technology is getting better, like I can stream from my phone, or maybe like I don't really need something that is, the light is okay, so I have a lighting system that's going to help me stream whenever I want. Or maybe like I have this intuitive head that I just want to share it right now. So that thing can help me to do it spontaneously without any preparation. And I'm still doing it, and right now in this current time, I'm still doing it in such a preparation, like, okay, what do I want to talk about and all that stuff. But eventually I want to be in that space where I have the flow. So I already have created the code for this type of wealth, in the sense. So I wonder, like, what would I do? Because I said it in the beginning of this live stream, of this project, is that I am not here for you, to be honest. I'm here for myself, because I'm here to train my conversational skill, which is not really great right now. I try to like share what I know, but eventually I jump from this point into this point because I just want to talk about it. And I never get to stick to a plan. And that it sucks for me, because I just want to get it done in the way that I have planned it. But there is always something that plays in the background and just telling me, okay, we actually remember this part. Something that we don't remember when we writing the draft. And I talk about that, but then I forget all the draft. So that thing still needs something to work on. But then again, there is other things that I get to experience, which is like the conversation, the experience, the moments with the audience who watch this. And eventually I train myself, okay, don't mess up when someone jump into the chat. Just be chill and just say what you are saying. And I'm really good at it right now. But there is still like jumping the points into A to C instead of A, B, C. That is also one thing that I want to catch on. Like I still have the time to talk the B, and we don't need to jump into the very end line. There's also that. But the biggest takeaway from me is that I get to connect the dot of my own ideas, and knowing that at some way and somehow it will be connected by some magical touch of something. And I feel that is really valuable. But I also understand that at some point what I'm talking about is my own personal experience, and I do have some of the basic guidelines that can help you to go with your journey. That is also true. So I'm in a bind. Like I still don't know, even though like I already found the thing that will benefit me more than others, which is like going on until we say we don't need it anymore, which is like that thing will pass over, like over the one period, maybe, we don't know. But if we want to do that, there's also some compensation, because I can't be just doing this on top of everything else in my business. But even so, I have strategically placed my clients to be like, we will have like rarely clients every day, because I can take it more than 3 to 5, and eventually I get to talk about it more in the stream, in my business, and it will help me to say what I have in mind. But then it's like, yeah, it's a buy-in. So I don't know. Let me ask you, what do you think? Do we keep it until I get tired of it, or just keep it for 1 year for now, and then we'll see after April 8, 2027, because that's the end line of the one period. Yeah, that's the only two things I want to talk about. But then like there is this, I was watching this Korean TV show, and it's fascinating that people there, like, they portray the collective society, which is like they do this and then they betray this one and then they hurt this person and then there is a fight and all that stuff. It's very bloody, and the show itself is actually called Bloody Game. So if you want to see what the show is about, you probably can search it in YouTube. But yeah, I watched that and I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. But the more I see it, one thing that bothers me the most is that many people these days smoking, right? And I'm like, in the collective point of view, you actually don't need to smoke, because smoking, there are some positive effects if you can breathe well. Because in smoking, you are expected to breathe. Because if you don't, you will swallow the smoke and you will die. You will like literally dying. And you breathe in the smoke and then you breathe out. And that's why like some people experience some relief when they are smoking, because they have that physical system to going in the flow state. And I can't help but to think it's a shame that people these days need to smoke to feel calm, to feel relaxed, to feel at peace, to let go their internal emotion. because I'm like, can actually still breathe without it. But I also understand that there are many people who need that thing. They don't necessarily want to, but they need it to make something happen. And that's why they choose to do that. Now, there are also some people who want. And these people is here with their intrinsic, like internal code within themselves that this is their thing. So nobody actually teach them. They have never watched it somewhere else and all this stuff. And that's why like the more twisted we are as a human, the more souls that coming on earth will have more twisted frequency because of that. So that there's this like a young serial killer in India, if I'm not wrong. And this kid is actually less than 8 years old and it's already killing people. How do you think a kid at 8 years old have the intention to kill people? To eventually experience such a deep trauma, you need to have some, what I believe, you need to have some deep value that was broken in the first place. So for example, I have thought about this before. I think like my language of love is actually touch. But this language is actually broken because I have sexual trauma. And that's why like I never get to feel ease whenever someone touch me because I have that trauma. But in order for me to feel loved, to feel like I am accepted, to feel like I belong, I need to be touched. I need to be hugged. I need to be like be in someone and then have that skin touch or maybe like intimate touch. I don't know. Emotional touch, like that part. But because I have never get it in the first place, there are some distance and my detachment to humanity began from there. That's what I thought about. Now, these people, maybe, maybe there are some deep value that was broken at some point, and therefore they are having this much of twisted intention to begin with. But now here's a really bothersome truth. Some people don't need to create it when they are awake, when they are as human. Meaning that I am born with the psychicness, to be honest. Nobody else out in my family teach me. Nobody else in my family is an indigo. Nobody else in my family have this deep intuitive head. But I am alone and I'm born with it. And no one teach me and I just know it. And I feel alone to begin with because of that. Now, no one teach me that. But what if, because if someone out there is born here because they have that intrinsic gift, but eventually the way they are expressed, the idea is such a cruel way that we can never get to understand why is this kid killing people. The parents is fine, parents is good, they're together. So the child that I talk about, the parents is fine, the family is fine. There is no violence in the house. There is nothing happened. So it's very interesting that this person have the ability, have the intention to eventually do the most cruelest ever thing someone can do to someone else. Now, here's also another thing. You know the real person of the Wall Street? I once read a story that the person itself never has anything wrong. Like there is no psychological point that he will eventually have this thing going on. There is no psychological clue that he will be this type of person. So what do you think? Where does it come from? The only expression I got is that everyone have this twisted frequency, because everyone who is connected with this person have this flow of frequency that was so twisted it can never be unbind, that eventually it expressed in such a way. But when it expressed, it doesn't mean the end. That person can block it. That person can like take whatever is bad and never express it in the first place, because I have that. I try to hide this sexual trauma for so long, but calling it hide is wrong, because I actually never knew that I had it in the first place. But then I did try my best to never show it. Like around up to 18, by 18, I think I know, oh, actually I have trauma. I have a sexual trauma in my body, in my system. And then I try to hide it until like 24, 20, 25 years old. And I try to hide it, but then I just blurted it out in a one family dinner, and everyone else didn't know about it. And I tried. But then, yeah. So that's the thing. You can try to block it yourself, or someone out there will help you to never let it express. So this is like the wealth of relationship. If someone out there is actually really care for you, or someone out there is your savior, meaning that I had one experience where my dad picked me up from school, and by the time he picked me up, he saw me standing in front of a house with a bunch of guys, and one of the guys is actually holding up candy. And my dad see that, and ever since he picked me up from school. Because you can't walk home alone anymore. I will pick you up at certain time. You need to wait for me. That's the warrior, the savior part. Maybe you will meet that person, maybe you won't. So there are times when so many other aspects of your problem will never be saved by other people, and you need to save yourself. That is true. But also, sometimes the savior, it's not people. Sometimes the savior is time. Like there are stories about, oh, actually, if I walk like 1 second later, I would actually get hit by this. That type of story, when someone like saved by the reality, by timing itself. That is also can be one of the things can help you to never express this twisted frequency inside of you. But above all, the biggest transformation that you can do for yourself and for the collective is actually transform the frequency yourself, so that whenever you are connected to the next human in the collective, you will never transfer the energy, because you have transformed it, because the twisted has been untwisted by what you did in this reality. So the next person will have less of twisted frequency, because you did the work. And I have this thought for so many times. Like I try to like I forget the word. I try to like not alchemize, but like really pictures what kind of things that could create something like this. And I have thought about it. And the only thing that can make sense why there are some people who have something that we never thought about is because of that. Because we have been thinking human as like an individual. And that's why like whenever something twisted happened, we were like, well, why is this happen? Well, think about it. It's not just like, oh, that person is so fucked. But then like think about it. If you see someone actually fucked up in life and you are seeing it, what does it mean for you? Your reaction to like, it's not my thing, that is also can be one of the things that you can choose to never do. Like, you can at least pray is the wrong word, but like hope is also the wrong word. At least you can dream for the person to get better. So there is no hope. You can like, oh, I can picture myself that if I were you, I have this timeline happening for me and this and this and this. But also like you can also help that person. If you are incapable to help the person, at least dream for them. Because that itself will help. Because you are there, you are part of the frequency, you are part of reality, and you are contributing your existence to this manifestation. So when you think about we as human, as a collective, you will notice that some code are missing because of that. And breathing is one of the things that we have lost. That's why like some people out there are smoking. And I'm like, whenever I see someone smoke, is like, I need to do better. At least in my own system, I don't have the necessity, right? To use anything else to feel free, to feel loved. Because if you need something that is already inside of you, it's like your blueprint, and you need something else, tools to help you achieve that, then you need some fixing. So this is very, I think, like controversial at this point because it's so pragmatic, it's so static, it's like the base of the base of how this world system works. And I am such a rigid person that I also understand that it cannot be this rigid. There is some leeway that needs to happen, but eventually we will reach that time where everyone is actually just moving into this one constant, one collect, one oneness frequency, that they understand we don't need anything else, we just need ourselves, our belief, our existence, and all that stuff, and we will work on it with that. But I don't know, my calculation can be wrong because Earth is unique in its own expression because we are not just one type of race. That's the problem. Is that there are so many different races, but they are being guided by some twisted ideas, philosophy that was so general that nobody else ever questioned about it. That having one rigid framework would never work because of that, because of the differences. So yeah, I don't know. That is my thought. So what do you think about it? And yeah, I think I said what I said. Uh-huh. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll wait. Just I'd love to know what you think about what this channel's future is going to be. Because I assume that if you are here watching me, you have not no objection about it because you just watch it. But then like yeah, it's more of my part than yours. So yeah, I just want to know some perspective. Thank you for watching.